If you are pregnant or you've recently had a baby, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Kath Bequee, a physiotherapist working in women's health and mum of 3. Join me each week as we dive into all things pregnancy care, childbirth and postnatal recovery, helping you have a wonderful pregnancy and afterbirth experience. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Mama podcast. Today, we are talking about postpartum depletion. I am super excited to be joined by the lovely duo, so Renee and Micka, and they are from Fill Your Cup. So Fill Your Cup is the first Biochemist-led postpartum doula village which provides evidence-based care to nurture, nourish and support newborn mothers. In a previous life, co-founders Dr. Renee White and Dr. Micka Bertucci were medical researchers specialising in the field of biochemistry, immunology and women's health. And after experiencing really different postpartum periods themselves, they both quit their jobs in 2020 and decided to lead the charge on a better postpartum for all women. So between them, they have more than 16 years in health and medical education, and they really do truly understand how to replenish, restore and support mamas in the thick of it. So Fill Your Cup's evidence-based approach focuses on enrichment and education, leaving a mama feeling empowered as they embark on the most important journey of their life, motherhood. So in this session today, we talk about what is postpartum depletion, why is it so important. We're going to talk about how do you even know if you've got postpartum depletion, how long can postpartum depletion last, and how do we prevent depletion if possible, and how do we recover from postpartum depletion. So it's a brilliant episode and one I trust you're going to get a lot of value out of. Before we dive into this episode, I invite you to come and check out the 5-day free trial of Fitness Mama. So reclaiming your pelvic floor, core and strength safely is one of the most effective ways to care for your body confidently during and after pregnancy. And all this is available with Fitness Mama. If you have found you're not exercising as much as you'd like to during pregnancy and after birth, perhaps you're busy or you've lost the motivation, or you're not sure how to best be looking after your body. Perhaps you've got pelvic girdle pain and abdominal muscle separation, and you're not sure about the best exercises for you. Or you'd like to get back into running after birth and you want the best Kickstarter possible, then fitness is for you. So join us for these convenient, short, easy workouts that you can do from the comfort of your home whilst your bubba sleeps, your toddler runs around causing havoc, or at the end of a long day at work. So to check out the free trial, head to fitnessmama.com and the link is in the show notes. Right, let's get into this episode. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me today on the Fitness Mama podcast. We're chatting all things postnatal depletion and nutrition after having a baby. Super exciting. So thank you. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Kath.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So we've got Renee and Micka with us. Ladies, would you like to quickly introduce yourselves? Let us know who you are for anyone who's listening and don't know you. Let us know who you are.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think we kind of introduce ourselves as the dynamic duo behind Fill Your Cup postpartum doulas. We've got a doula village in Hobart and Melbourne. There are 7 of us in the village, which is amazing that we get to work with other beautiful women to do that. And essentially, we nourish and nurture sleep-deprived and overwhelmed mamas. And our motto is to give everyone the opportunity to fall in love with their postpartum experience. So Micka and I both have a PhD in biochemistry. So, with over 16 years of experience in health and education, I think we can honestly say that we know how to replenish and restore mamas and support them in the thick of the motherhood. So, that's kind of our background.
And it's a really amazing background. And what brought you to this area of postpartum doula and caring for mums after having a baby? How did you get into this stage of your careers?
Well, we both had babies and had basically the polar opposite experience in motherhood. For myself, I did a lot of reading about the fourth trimester and a lot of preparation to set myself up and focused. I didn't do any fancy nursery decorating. I was just sort of focusing on me and food and filling my freezer, getting my village, reading the books about the physical and emotional and mental changes. And of course it doesn't guarantee you a bump-free ride into motherhood, but it was the best sort of preparation I could have done for me and the journey I wanted. And I remember hearing other people in our birthing class saying, "Oh, I'm preparing for motherhood because I just renovated our kitchen to make it bigger." And I was like, well, that's great if that works for you, but until you become a mother, there's so many other things you don't know about. And then Renee, you might want to give a little snippet of your experience. I don't want to step on your toes.
Yeah, I guess Micka and I are two sides of the one coin when it comes to motherhood. My experience was you probably don't want to do that. I stepped into motherhood very well versed on conception and pregnancy. I could tell you every single week what was going on with my baby, growing inside of me. I could tell you the fruit or vegetable size that it was supposed to be. And then I started motherhood and I was just waiting for this moment where evidently my, motherly intuition was supposed to kick in. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing happened. And I wasn't prepared. I had 2 serves of spaghetti bolognese in the freezer, which I thought was totally going to just be fine because I'm going to have so much time on my hands because I'm going to be at home because I don't have to work now. And that was a huge failure. I didn't organise a village. I had no one around. And I think looking back, it was just an epic fail on my part. And there is no question that, the lack of preparation is what led me to a case of probably, perinatal anxiety and probably bouts of depression as well. And Micka and I had known each other for a very, very long time. We did our PhDs together. And as Micka said, we'd both become mums, and it was just this conversation that kept coming up about how difficult it was. Why is this so difficult? What is going on? And how can we make this a better community for mothers? And in 2020, we decided to quit our jobs in the middle of a pandemic. I left my law job. Micka left her science and teaching job. People thought that we were mad, but we knew that a problem needed to be fixed. And I know I can say this on behalf of the two of us. Micka and I, we have personalities where we don't whinge about it, we do something about it. And we just kept seeing so many mums out there who didn't have a village, who were really suffering from that lack of support and care and education and empowerment to step into their motherhood and really enjoy it. We're supposed to enjoy it. It's not supposed to be this hard. And so we trained as postpartum doulas with Julia Jones from the Newborn Mothers Collective, who is just a sensational teacher. She's internationally renowned for her course. And we started Fill Your Cup.
And I've just done a podcast interview with the lovely Julia Jones talking about baby brain. And we talked about how baby brain, it's a real thing. It's not a term that needs to be laughed about or.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Kath. I think that's one of the other reasons that we started this business was because when you are sleep deprived and tired, there is the rabbit hole of Google, and there is so much misinformation out there for new mums who are particularly vulnerable. And we just thought this is not good enough. It's not fair. It creates so much anxiety and overwhelm that is not needed. So our mission was to provide evidence-based care and information to our audience from experts and professionals, not celebrities and, people that don't know what they're talking about. This is the facts, and they could learn them, take them on, and then, choose to do what they want, but just somewhere where it was a safe space and it was all evidence-based, because that's missing. And then even you're just saying then the science behind motherhood, like baby brain, it is real, and we know the science. And when we frame it in a different way than society talks about it now, it's actually a really amazing positive, and it helps to empower the mother, because she can do all these things now that she couldn't do before. It's her brain is primed, and it's quite incredible. So for us, it's using that evidence-based scientific research to empower, educate the mothers. And then we also to fill them up with lots of food too.
Love that. So let's go on to that then. We're talking today about postpartum depletion. And I'd love to, let's start at the start. What is postpartum depletion, and why is it so important that we know and understand about postpartum depletion?
Yeah, I think it would be remiss of us to not quickly touch on the fact that the infamous Dr. Oscar Serelak has written such an amazing book about this, about postnatal depletion. We highly recommend it. It's actually part of our top 5 books that we always recommend our FYC mamas. But I think there's so much focus on the pregnancy and nutrition and around, don't eat this, don't eat that. You must focus on this, you must focus on that. Everyone knows, increase your iron, increase your folate and things like that. But there's not a lot of education around what happens post-birth. And a lot of people don't understand and know that your nutrients actually go up during the postpartum recovery period. And there's 3 reasons behind that. One, the first one is that our beautiful babies suck the life out of us during pregnancy. And so they should, because they're growing a whole new, infrastructure of a human being. And so 70 to 80% of women step into motherhood depleted of some sort of micronutrients, one or more. The second reason is that you've just essentially run a marathon, whether it be the actual birth, labour itself, and or if you've had to run what we call the double marathon, which is the labour and then if you have to have an emergency C-section as well. So that's a huge demand on your body. You've got to be repairing connective tissues with collagen and things like that. If you've torn, if you've got an episiotomy, if you've got that, what I like to call the sunroof baby scar. I've got one. I had a C-section. So that's the second kind of arm. And then the third one is if you choose to breastfeed, that is a huge nutritional demand on your body. So it is so important to prepare yourself for post-birth in terms of your nutrition levels. And we've got a couple of what we like to call our hero mama nutrients that we focus on, and Micka has been absolutely instrumental in preparing our FYC mama menu all around these 5 nutrients. So Micka, did you want to mention that?
Well, I'm going to jump in here because I would love to talk about, replenishing ourselves and that sort of thing. But first I want to know if I'm a mum and I've just had a baby, how do I know if I have postpartum depletion?
Well, there's I think a good place to start is on the macro and micronutrient levels, and obviously having blood tests 6 weeks plus post having baby. There's so much going on in those early weeks in terms of hormonal changes. You're getting used to lack of sleep, you're recovering from pregnancy and whatever sort of birth that you had. So there's, I think there's, and very normal baby blues as well in that. So postnatal depletion is quite different from postnatal depression in terms of you're depleted, you're exhausted, everything feels a bit harder than it should, but you're not, there's still joy in moments. You're not, you're not that real depressed feeling. But if you have, say, deficiency in iron or some other micro or macronutrient, it's very hard to feel well, even if you're doing all the other right things. So there's lots of different ways that it can be identified. And I think speaking with a really amazing GP, which is one of our biggest tips that we give our mums, if they say, oh, you're just tired, this is normal, this is how you should feel, keep pushing, go find someone else. It's really important you find a practitioner that connects with you and understands you. And unfortunately, that's getting harder and harder because obviously the medical system's heavily burdened at the moment. But you can definitely get blood tests to find out as well. And it's a really good place to start as well. Like Renee said, the nutrients that go across to the baby during pregnancy are so important. And then in breastfeeding, that goes up and up and up. So there's not just one thing, it's a whole collective of things. There's an emotional arm as well, and a mental arm that can all be sort of, as well as the physical, looked at and assessed to see whether you have depletion or something else, or a combination of things as well, because it can go hand in hand with postnatal anxiety or depression as well, or be standalone.
Interesting. So it's sounding like it might be any or all of these things. So it might be physical depletion, perhaps losing weight or no energy. It might be mental depletion, so exhaustion. It might be, what else did you say? Is there a third one?
Like mental?
Yeah, physical, mental, or emotional. Yeah. Or so it could be any of all three, or it could be even another symptom that's not identified.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Dr. Oscar is saying sometimes these women feel these effects for years post having birth. So particularly in the case where if a woman doesn't have the opportunity to fully recover after having her baby in that initial first 40 days, first 6 weeks, lots of different cultures around the world talk about this time, and the timing's slightly different, but it's all roughly around the first 6 to 12 weeks. If she's not allowed to fully recover from her pregnancy and birth experience and be nurtured and cared for, often she can feel those effects of postnatal depletion for years and years to come afterwards, which do not need to be there. And there is some scientific research showing that, again, if the mums aren't allowed to fully recover in the first 6 weeks, the changes in the brain that need to go back to what they should be don't occur, and that leads the way for them to having higher levels of anxiety in terms of like a structural change in the brain that needs to happen. But often, our mums aren't given 6 weeks in bed to rest with someone cooking and cleaning, and it's not their fault. I just want to say on all the points Renee was mentioning before, I think society primes us to focus on the pregnancy and the birth, and it's all about you. You take your supplement, you're all good. And then as soon as that baby comes out, it's not about you. You are very rarely given a second look. At 6 weeks, you might get a check, you might not, and it's fine. It's all about the baby.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. All of this goes hand in hand with physical recovery too, and everything that I do. It's just, we do care a lot about our bodies during pregnancy, and then we have our baby and the focus straight away goes on learning to breastfeed and settle our baby and change nappies, and we fall to the bottom of the to-do list. It's natural, but it's also, to some extent, that's great why we're talking today, because we can pre-plan for some of these things and forewarned. What's the saying? Forewarned, forearmed, pre-warned, pre-armed. Is that right?
It's really hard.
Something like that.
And it's so hard to imagine how little time you're going to have once that baby comes along, because typically in our society, the first time you have an experience with a baby is with your own, and you don't go, it doesn't sleep for half the day, I'm going to have time to cook and clean and rest and all these things. No, it doesn't happen like that. So, yes. Okay.
So postpartum depletion might last anything from months, if you've got it, from months to years, as you've just said. So if you're thinking, I'm exhausted, I'm not feeling good, go and see a doctor. But how else can we, so I guess 2 questions. How do we recover from postpartum depletion? But also, how do we nourish ourselves to avoid postpartum depletion? And is that possible? This episode is brought to you by Baby Bee, Australian-owned and designed prams combining quality, safety and style. Not only does Baby Bee let you try their prams at home with free returns for 9 months, yes, that's 9 months, they also offer an industry-leading 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. With thousands of 5-star reviews, around-the-clock customer care, and up to $300 of free accessories with every pram, what are you waiting for? Go visit www.babybeeonline.com and check them out for yourself. And yes, for listeners of the podcast, there is a 20% discount code. Enter FITBEE, FITBEE 20 at checkout, and T's and C's apply.
I think so. I mean, the first step for me is we're all about prevention rather than treatment. It's so much easier to prevent something rather than treat it. So with that, we are all about, setting up your village, preparing and stocking your freezer, making sure that, if you want to start a meal train, it's all about getting that preparation done in advance. And to Micka's point before, that postnatal depletion is emotional, mental, and also physical. So in terms of that physicality, it's about making sure that the food that you're putting into your body is not just food, it's nourishing food. It's, hydrating, warming, things that are really gentle on your digestive system. We all understand how difficult that first poo is, things like that. It's like, think of brothies, soups and dals and, stews and things like that. Things that are rich in protein, high in fat, animal-based fat. The research shows us time and time again, it is all about high protein, high rich animal fats. Collagen is like your best friend postpartum, because whether you have experienced, a tear, an episiotomy or a cesarean, you're going to need that connective tissue to be back in your body, because your skin is coming back to its original kind of positioning. Your uterus needs to contract. Everything needs to come back together. The number one thing for that is collagen, 110%. Also iron. I'm like obsessed with iron. It's my favorite nutrient. I've always been obsessed as a biochemist with iron. And it's such an easy kind of nutrient to be able to get into your diet. And it does so many amazing things. Like if you've got sleep deprivation, then up your iron levels, it increases your energy level, reduces fatigues, increases your mental performance. And to me, it's really easy. Throw some meat in a slow cooker or a pressure cooker with some veggies and some broth, and you're set, absolutely set.
Yeah, I think probably so many women listening to this can resonate with the low iron, and it's so great that women are becoming more proactive and going to the GP and saying, could I have a blood test? Because I know I was low in iron for years, and I swear I lost more hair because of it. And, it was tired. So, it has many effects. So that's great to bring up. Thank you.
Can I just make a point though, Kath? And I think it would be remiss of us to kind of not mention this, in the sense that we are very pro food to replenish. So if you go to a GP and all they want you to do is pop pills as supplements to get those micronutrients up, I would first go consult a nutritionist or a dietitian or something like that, because our bodies were designed to utilize the nutrients from a food source, not from a synthetic source. So try and do the best that you can with food, then go retest. And then if something is still amiss, I would then consult kind of the supplement angle, because you cannot replicate what nature has given us at all.
Just on that with supplements, they're definitely not all created equal, and iron is such a great example for that. There's so many iron supplements you buy over the counter are really low absorbable, bioavailable iron. So make sure if you are ending up on a supplement, has really high bioavailability, and it's going to need other nutrients in there to help with absorption. It shouldn't just be iron alone. The body is extremely clever, and it needs lots of different nutrients to finish all of the cellular functions. And like Renee said, that usually comes in a meal based around real food. It's just something to keep in mind.
Yep. And ladies, if you're listening, please do consult your doctor and get that individualised assessment, treatment and diagnosis.
Yes.
Had to just put that in.
Do not sue us.
Okay, ladies, this has been an amazing chat. To finish off with, because it's such an important area, and even if for those listening it's just hopefully it's just been enough to make everyone listening take stock of their situation and just take note of if there's any areas that they can pay more attention to. So to finish off with, do you have any words of wisdom for pregnant women or new mums listening today?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. For me, the first thing that comes to mind is look after yourself, fill your cup, happy mum, happy baby. It is so important. I think that's a really big one. If you're looked after and you're feeling well, your baby and your children are going to thrive as well.
I love that, Micka. I would encourage more mums to say yes, and yes to the right things, which is, yes, I would love your help. Yes, I would love for you to bring a meal over. Yes, I would love for you to put a load of washing on, because, you know, I'm 5 years postpartum, and Micka and I were having this conversation yesterday, and it was around the fact that I'm still practicing, because I am the number one culprit for this. I'm still practicing saying yes to people when they offer me help, because I think we're put in a society where we are rewarded time and time again as women to do things by ourselves, for ourselves, and take on this huge burden and this huge mental load, and we don't have to. We can call on our village, and it's okay to say yes. You are vulnerable when you do that, and sometimes it feels very uncomfortable, but start practicing that now when you're pregnant, because I assure you, you will need that when your baby arrives, and you will just love it. And people want to help you. They really do. They really do. So say yes to the right things.
Love that.
And just quickly, sorry, Kath, if they don't know what to cook, please head over to our website, because we have got an amazing free guide full of highly nutritious meals. You don't have to think about it. It's just there. Go in, click yes, get the meals, start filling your freezer now if you're pregnant. Ask your mum, mother-in-law, sister, friend, partner, whoever it is, to start making them. Make it in bulk. Cook once, eat many times. And I agree, ask for help.
Beautiful. Well, that's my next question, is how do we find you, ladies?
Well, you can find us at our website, which is ifillyourcup.com. We're also on Instagram at fillyourcup_. And we have just launched our first Fill Your Cup product range, which includes our famous choc goji lactation cookie mix and our creamy coconut dal, as well as our postpartum recovery sits. We've been cooking these cookies for about 18 months now for all of our in-home FYC mamas. And when we were both in Melbourne, we were doing a meal delivery service as well. And these are our number one sellers, hands down. We offer our mums who are part of like a 6 or 12-week program, and we offer them a different snack every single week. And these snacks are just, everyone wants them every single week. We're like, are you sure you don't want to try something else? They're like, no, give me the cookies, give me the cookies, give me the cookies. So we've been working on a cookie mix, because we wanted to make sure that every single mama in Australia would have access to these. So we've just launched these cookie mixes. They're over on our website. It's $24 for a pack. They are the largest in terms of quantity by weight in the market. They are all organic, no refined sugars. They've been deemed high in protein by a food tech. So they are your perfect 3 a.m. snack, mamas. Head over to our website and we can give you a sneaky little discount voucher as well if you use the code ILOVEFYC. And we will get those out to you ASAP, and you will thank us for life.
They sound amazing. And I will put that link and that code in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, ladies. It was so lovely to chat all things postpartum, depletion and nutrition after having a baby. So thank you.
Thanks so much for having us, Kath.
Thank you. It was great.
That's it, ladies. My team and I will be putting together the show notes for this episode with all the links, including how to connect with the team at Fill Your Cup and their lovely discount code too. That's it, ladies. See you next week for another episode of the Fitness Mama podcast. Thanks for listening to the Fitness Mama podcast, brought to you by the Fitness Mama freebies found at www.fitnessmama.com/free. So please take a few seconds to leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and be sure to take a screenshot of this podcast, upload it to your social media, and tag me at FitnessMama so I can give you a shout out too. Until next time, remember, an active pregnancy, confident childbirth, and strong postnatal recovery is something that you deserve. Remember our disclaimer: materials and contents in this podcast are intended as general information only and shouldn't substitute any medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I'll see you soon.